Guys, today I'm going to show you how you can get the Platinum Trophy from all 4 versions of The Walking Dead's The Final Season, only having to play the game through one time. We're able to do this because the save files that you create by playing through on any one of the 4 versions of the game will work with the other 3 versions of the game. So this means we can play the game through one time and then use the carefully created saves we made while doing so to platinum that same game up to 3 other times with the other versions. So this video is going to be 2 things. It's going to be a 100% platinum guide for your first playthrough, which covers all of the collectibles and all of the missable trophies, and there are a number of each. But more importantly perhaps than the platinum guide, this guide is also going to show you how to create the save files at the appropriate time that you can reuse in all the other versions of the game. If you want some tips on how to purchase those other versions of the games, especially the ones outside of your region, stick around till the end of the video and I'll cover it there. Let's go. So there's only really a few decisions in this entire game that actually matter from a trophy perspective. So there will be lots of areas that are sped up or missing entirely from this guide. Those you just play through yourself, pick the choices that you feel most comfortable with. The preamble at the start of the game is a good example of this. You just play through this however you want to play it. And when we get to an important decision point or collectible, I'll slow down and we'll talk through the choices you're supposed to make there. Okay, so after the game's shown you how to kill your first walker is about when we're going to get our first collectible. So we're going to walk around to the left side of the house and we'll pick up the deer skull. Now inside the house, you're going to go look through the ticket window, you're going to try the door to the left of the ticket window, you're going to look at the walkers in the chair, you're going to check out the note, check out the poison. You'll probably send AJ in through the ticket window. He'll open the door for you. When you're in the back room, you'll look at the can on the floor, you'll move the mattress, and then you'll be finished with that area. And after the credits roll and you wake up in the room in the school, you're going to go through the process of untying your wrist and looking in the wardrobe, using the chair to get the box up the top so you can get out of the door. And Marlon's going to show you around the school for a little bit. And then we're finally going to get to making our first save. That little circle symbol is the game saving a checkpoint. It does this many times through the game, and a few of those checkpoints are the ones that we're looking for to create our saves. And this is one of those checkpoints. So when you get to the point where Clem comes through the door and you're looking at the stairs in front of you, we now want to create our first save, which we can then reuse in the other versions of the game. So put an empty formatted FAT32 or exFAT thumb drive into your PlayStation, and you're going to press the PlayStation button, go to Settings, and Save Data. Then if you're on the PS5, you want to go to the PS4 section and then Upload or Delete from console. Then choose Copy to USB drive at the top of the screen and select the game data for The Walking Dead and copy it to the thumb drive. Now we're going to take that thumb drive and put it into a PC or a Mac. When we copied the game data to the USB drive, it created a PS4 directory for us. We're going to rename that directory to PS401 Tickle Monster. Now go ahead and put that thumb drive back into your PlayStation and load up the game again and hit continue, and we will be back at the stairs where we just previously made the save. Again, we're about to get the Tickle Monster trophy, and now because we've made that save, we can use that save in other versions of the game and get the Tickle Monster trophy very quickly without having to play through all the stuff you just played through. So since this is our first playthrough, before we go get that trophy, we're just quickly going to go get the flowers, which are around behind the stairs.
These look nice.
Then you'll attempt to go up the stairs, it'll tell you can't, so then you'll go back down the hallway, meet the girl coming around the corner, have a conversation with her, and then you'll finally meet up with AJ again. And you need to select Tickle him.
I was afraid you were...
And once you do, you'll pop your Tickle Monster trophy. And you're going to play for a little more, and then eventually Marlon's going to have you come outside to help with some walkers. So just after Lewis has shown you how the trap works and you gain control of Clem, that's when you want to go and create another save. So you're going to do exactly as you did before. Press PlayStation button, go to Settings, copy the game data to the USB drive, rename the PS4 directory to something else, in this case PS402 Nothing Wasted. Then you're going to load the game up again, hit continue, and you'll be back to where you just gained control of Clem. Now for this trophy you need to kill 4 walkers with traps. Use the route I'm showing, it's pretty consistent. So we're going to do this first one that's closest first. Then we're immediately going to run to the left. I'm holding down the right trigger to make Clem run. And we should be just in time to cut this rope and kill another walker. Then we're going to keep running to the left or clockwise around the trees. We're going to go past this trap and on to the next one. And when we get there, immediately turn around and we should be in time to kill another walker. Then we keep running clockwise. And run around the outside of this last trap. And make sure that zombie's following us. He is. And then the timing's a little tricky, but get in and cut the rope. Now, if they catch you, and they probably will in your first couple of times, you'll want to just press options and go back to the main menu, then hit continue. The reason for this is if you let them kill you and then just restart from the checkpoint without going back to the main menu, the zombie spawns are a little different when you do that. So if you go back to the main menu, they'll always spawn that way. So you'll be able to do that same route. Okay, after doing that, you're going to have a bunch more conversations. You'll go back to the school and you'll end up back in the courtyard. And when you get back to the point where AJ's sitting on the park bench looking sad, that's when you want to make another save. There'll be a little bit of chitter chatter that you need to get through. But once you get to the point where it says help AJ make friends, we're going to get a collectible and a trophy. So the first thing we're going to do is go get some real flowers, which will be our third collectible. So if you were looking at the flagpole, then go a little bit to the right, follow the path, then turn left.
This might look nice in our room.
So now we need to talk to everybody, but we don't want to talk to Marlon yet because that'll end the scene and we'll miss the trophy. So we'll talk to the guys on the couch here. And we're going to go talk to the group at the fire. And we're going to talk to the guy at the school desk. So that's Marlon. Don't talk to him just yet. Instead, we'll go and talk to Ruby. Again, remember, if it's sped up, it doesn't matter what choices you make. Just play how you want to play. And we want to follow the path next to those torches.
Hey, guys.
And talk to this group.
Clem? Yeah? I'm ready.
And we will get our social butterfly trophy.
Okay.
And now you can go talk to Marlon to progress the story. Now you're going to play some more. You're going to have some dinner with the group. You're going to play some cards. Just play that however you like. And you will end up back in your room. And when you and AJ enter the room, that's when we're going to stop and go make another save. We're going to call this one PS404 End of the Road. You'll have a bit of conversation, including with Violet. Just play that however you like, and you'll be given your fourth collectible automatically. Let AJ sleep where he likes. And you'll pop End of the Road. Okay, we're about to make another save, and this is an important one because it involves a mutually exclusive choice we need to make. So when you get to the point where you're walking up the stairs, we're going to stop and make another save called Good Girl this time. You're going to play a bit more, you'll resolve a conflict between AJ and 10. Then the dog will come in along with Marlon. And you want to select the I Trust You choice here.
Rosie.
And you'll unlock your first of many Pet the Dog trophies. This one's called Good Girl.
She was the headmaster's dog.
And you're going to chat with Marlon for a little longer.
But when the world...
You'll eventually pull out a map and you'll have to look at the hunting area, the forest and the river, and then you'll be able to back out and progress the story. And then after a bit more conversation, he's going to offer you a choice. We have to choose if we want to go fishing or we want to go hunting. The thing is, though, there are trophies associated with both of these decisions, so we want to do both of them. So we're going to go hunting first.
Let's go do some hunting. Yeah.
And then soon after making that selection, as you're walking through the forest with the group, you're going to want to make another save, this one called Rabbit Season. So create your save, Rabbit Season, continue through the forest having the conversation until you get to the point where you have to choose which person you're going to help out. We are going to go to the left first and help them hunt some rabbits. So this is one of the harder trophies in the game, but if you pre-aim where I say to aim, you shouldn't have too many problems. So for the first rabbit,
So careful where you shoot. Aim for the parents.
you want to aim just to the left of the little rock, and then when the rabbit stops there, shoot him. You do have to hit the rabbit. You can't miss. If you miss either of the rabbits, you're going to have to reload and try again.
Need a few more like this if we're hoping to eat, though. I saw some others run this way.
For the second rabbit, you're going to want to pre-aim at the little bit of shadow that's jutting out at the bottom there. And then again, wait for the rabbit, boom, shoot him. Remember, if you miss either rabbit, just quickly press options, reload back to the main screen. But assuming you got them, you'll pop the Rabbit Season trophy. Now we're going to do our first reloading of a save we previously made, because we want to help the other guy and get the trophy associated with helping the other guy. So this is what your USB drive should look like when you plug it into a PC. We're going to right click on that and copy it to make a copy of the Rabbit Season save. And then we're going to rename that copy back to PS4. And I'm going to stick that thumb drive back into the PlayStation. And then we're going to go to Settings, Game Data. And this time we're going to copy the game data from the USB to the console, overriding whatever game data was on the console. Then we're going to reload the game and hit continue from the main menu, and we're back walking through the forest. Then we're going to have the same conversations about being a ninja and helping people out while walking through the forest. And then we eventually are going to get the same choice to help one of two people, and this time we're going to help Lewis. For this trophy, we have to hit the walker 3 times without missing, which is much, much, much easier than shooting those damn rabbits.
If the limits were still...
And our third hit. Okay, we've now gotten the 2 trophies inside of the hunting branch of that choice we made earlier. So now we need to go back and remake the choice. So you're going to reload the save Good Girl, again by making a copy of that save on the USB drive, then renaming that copy back to just PS4, load up the game, and you'll be back at the Good Girl save. So we're going to go through, resolve the same conflict with 10 and AJ again. And this time when he gives us the choice, we're going to go fishing with Violet and Brody. Now once you're walking through the forest with Violet and Brody, that's when we're going to make another save. And this save's going to get us 2 trophies.
It's not like there's anything with...
You'll have some conversations about road trips and whatnot. And when we finally get control of Clem, we're going to get our 5th collectible, the cat skull.
This is cool. Edgy.
Now you're going to want to immediately turn around and go and chat to AJ. Doesn't matter what you select here, you'll still pop the trophy.
Friend. Oh. Love.
Now you need to go pick up your spear to progress the story.
Cool. Ready to get some fish? Yeah. Okay.
And we're going to do some fishing with another annoying trophy in the game. We need to spear 3 fish without missing a fish. This first fish is pretty easy.
Any luck? I got
You can let some fish go past without throwing the spear. That's okay. You can let a few go past. But if you throw and miss, you'll have to reload and try again. Second and third fish are a little harder. Just pre-aim where I have the cursor on screen there. Again, just pre-aim where I have the cursor, and as you can see, I let a fish go past before I threw. And we will get Upstream, our fishing trophy. Okay, so play a bit more, you're going to end up going to the train station, and again, none of the choices matter, so just play through however you feel like. And then when the group's walking back to the gates of the school, that's when you want to make another save. We will get 3 trophies with this save. So you can have a little bit of discussion about how of a terrible idea it was going to the school, play through that. And then when you're sitting at the picnic table with Tan and he's drawing, you'll want to make sure when he asks if you want to be drawn into the picture, you say you do want to be drawn into the picture.
You want to be there too?
So again, make sure you pick sure, draw me in.
I promise I'll draw you well. Sure, why not?
And this will get you the 6th and final collectible for this section of the game.
It's getting late. Yeah.
Once you're back in your room and you have control of Clem, you're going to place collectibles. Make sure you've placed all 6 before you blow out the candle. So now you're going to wake up, follow the noises, you'll end up outside, you'll go down into the basement, play the events in the basement however you like, and as you finally exit the basement, you'll want to make another save. Once you're outside of the basement, you're going to have a series of confrontations and conversations. It doesn't really matter how you play it. You can die, but it doesn't matter, you'll just reload the checkpoint and try again.
What?
And at the end of it all, you will unlock Protector. Alright, for the next little while, you're going to be having conversations, and then you're going to attend a funeral out in the courtyard, and you're going to be out with Violet and Lewis, and then when you finally get to the bit where you're walking through the forest carrying AJ, you'll want to make another save. You're going to have some conversations, you're going to do some surgery on AJ, and in the end, you're going to fall asleep next to the campfire and the trophy will pop. After that, you're going to go back to the school, have a series of conversations, then you're going to leave again and go to a greenhouse with Mitch and Ruby. Once you have control of Clem outside the greenhouse, you want to make a save. And then immediately turn around and go pick up our boar skull. Then you're going to follow Mitch around to the side of the greenhouse and get in. Once you're in the greenhouse and have control of Clem, then walk behind Ruby and pick up the mushroom. And then additionally, you want to eat a mushroom. And we will pop the edible trophy. Now, set up for a trophy called Botanist that we're going to get a little bit later, we need to examine everything in this room before we leave it. Then we're going to use the pry bar on the cabinet. Doing that enables us to interact with the final cabinet that we need to get into the next room. After you get control of Clem again in the next room, the first thing you're going to do is go get our Venus flytrap. And then we need to examine a bunch of things in this room in order to pop the Botanist trophy, as well as all the things we examined in the last room. And having examined all of those, we will pop the Botanist trophy. And now we just need to progress the story by grabbing the igniters, finding the gas tank, and then you will pop the old ghost trophy. When you get back into your room, you're going to want to make a save. You'll have a bunch of conversations, play them however you like. And when you get control of Clem, we're just going to place our 3 collectibles.
Wonder how long it'll last.
Which pops the personal touch trophy. And you're going to finish off the chapter by choosing a shirt and blowing out the candle. After you wake up, you'll have a bit more dialogue than when you're outside in the courtyard and it's being fortified. You want to make another save. Once you gain control of Clem at the help everyone prepare stage, that's when we need to go and interact with everything. If you hold down the left trigger, it'll highlight the white dots, pretty much all of those you need to interact with. When you interact with Rosie, make sure to pet the dog. You'll get a trophy for that. You don't need to interact with the red prompts. Again, just hold down the left trigger. It'll show you what you can interact with. You typically don't need to speak with people, but you do need to interact with things. Examine, flip, touch, that sort of thing. Once you have interacted with all the required things, you will pop the Be Prepared trophy. Now we're going to go over to Lewis and we have to shoot the target without missing, which is very easy. You'll have no problem doing it. Now you go talk to AJ, that'll progress the story, and you'll eventually check in with Violet. And you'll play some cards and have a bunch more conversations. And then you're going to make a choice between Violet and Lewis. I chose Violet. You should probably do the same just for the sake of ease of following the guide, but you don't have to. Whichever person you pick, there are 2 trophies you're going to get with that person. Since we did Violet, once you get to the bell tower, you're going to make a save, and we're going to get both the trophies with the save. You're going to climb up the bell tower. And you're going to draw some things in the sky. Whichever star you pick first, the game will highlight the next star you need to pick by making it shine brighter. Draw 3 of those, and then you'll have a choice to make. We need to pick both of these because each of these have a trophy associated with them. So the first one we're going to pick is You're a Great Friend. And this will pop the Bonded trophy. And after it pops, we're now going to reload that save we just made. Again, you're going to make a copy of the save on the USB, then you're going to rename the copy to PS4, and you're going to copy that back to the console. And you're going to reload the game and continue. And then you'll be back in the bell tower. We're going to climb up the bell tower again. Join the dots with all the stars again. And then at the choice, we're going to pick the other option, I Have Feelings for You. And then choose the top option, Kiss Her, which will pop the Moving Fast trophy. If you really wanted to do Lewis here, you can. The save will be the same, just the actions and conversation will be a little bit different. Afterwards, you're going to go back to the courtyard and there'll be a big battle. After like the 3rd phase of the battle and you're back out in the courtyard and Clem's looking at the open gates with some zombies coming through it, you'll want to make a save. And then for the rest of the battle, you're just killing zombies and trying not to die. And then you'll pop Deadeye and Defender. You'll also make a decision about which character to save. I chose Violet. You should probably too, just for the sake of ease of following the guide. Okay, new episode. Once you get through the preamble and you get to the bit where you're going through the gates and you see a head on the spike, you'll want to make a save. After you have a bunch of conversation, we're going to go into the basement to interrogate Abel. And at this point, we're going to get the 2 of our 6 collectibles. Grab the pennant off the wall. Then the sketch pad off the shelf. And then, you guessed it, we're going to pet Rosie and get another trophy. If this is still your first playthrough, then we are going to need to do some setup now with a conversation we're about to have with Abel in order to get a trophy much later in the game. So these are the options you want to choose for the remaining conversation so that we can get the note out of Abel's shoe, which has a password on it, which we're going to use later in the game. If you're on your 2nd platinum or 3rd platinum and you're just here for the trophies, you don't have to do this piece. You can end after you got the trophy for petting Rosie. So after you've checked the boot and got the note, we're all done. You can end Abel however you like. After the credits, you're going to be in the forest and you'll want to make a save when you see AJ. After a bunch of conversation and after you get control of Clem, you're going to turn around and get our 3rd collectible, the horseshoe. And we're going to turn back around and then head slightly to the right and get our 4th collectible, the rabbit's foot.
A rabbit's foot.
Right, in order to progress the story now and get a trophy, we need to look at a bunch of things. So these are the things you need to go look at. But you're still not done. Now you're going to go talk to AJ and look at 2 more things. And then finally, you're going to shuffle over to Willie and look at 3 more things. Which will pop you the All-Seeing trophy. After that, you're going to meet some more walkers and deal with those, and you'll eventually meet up with James again. We're going for the trophy Mercy, so make sure you don't kill any walkers. And once you get to the part where you are going to push a cart, you'll want to make a save. And you're going to finish this section again without killing any zombies, stunning them only. Which will give you the Mercy trophy.
Really?
You'll play a bit longer, and once you see the zombie, followed by James and Clem and AJ walking towards a building, you want to make a save. Once you have the talk to James prompt, then the first thing we're going to go do is talk to AJ and tell him, please don't lick the salt lick.
Salt lick. Ugh, sounds gross. Whatever you do.
After you pop the trophy, did you lick it, we're going to get our 5th collectible, the wind chimes.
A wind chime. Might be pretty in a room.
Then we're going to walk around to the other side of the barn next to the Bay of Hail and pick up the toy. And that will get us the Hunter trophy for all the collectibles in this episode. Next, we're going to go talk to James. We'll have a bunch of conversations. We'll put on the mask. We'll go into the barn. We'll walk through the walkers and we'll touch the wind chimes. Then we'll have a bunch more conversations about the meaning of life. And in the end, we will pop the Whispers trophy. Once we're back in the school, we're going to have a quick conversation with Ruby about an upcoming party. And then when we're finally back in our room, we're going to place our collectibles. And this will finally pop us the Feels Like Mine trophy. And you're going to progress the story by picking up the coffee heater and talking to AJ, and eventually you'll be having a party. Once you come into the party room with the coffee heater, you'll want to make a save. And then you're just going to play this however you like. None of the choices matter here. You're going to pick a candle color and a music genre and a banner, and then you're going to sing some songs and answer some questions, and at the end of it all, you'll pop the Nightlight trophy. Next, you're going to have a scene which you should just sit back and enjoy, especially if you've played the other games. I'm not even going to talk about it. We'll just skip right over it. Next, you're going to sneak onto the boat. Play this however you like. None of the choices matter. Once you've made it out of the water, though, and you take out your bow, you'll want to make a save. Here we need to kill all of the walkers before they get to us, so we're going to do that with the bow headshots. If any of them do get to you, just let them kill you so you can restart the checkpoint. You'll then pop both Personal Space and Shoreline. Once you're inside, you're going to make your way through the boat by executing the QuickTime events until you get to this guy who's going to ask you for a password. Miraculously, we know it because we got it out of Abel's boot earlier. So we're going to answer Rockingham.
Out here slowly.
Rockingham.
Stop lurking around.
Hey, Clem, this has got to be the boiler room. Yeah, it looks like it.
Now you'll keep playing until you wake up in a cell. And we want to make another save here. We'll have a bunch of conversations, then we want to look at the scratches on the wall.
We're not staying here that long.
And then to progress the story further, you want to look through the door. Then look down at the latch. And then chip away at the steel. And once you're on top of the boat, getting beat up by Lily, you want to make a save. You want to complete all the QuickTime events, and then when you get given the choice, select She's Beaten, Stand Down. This means that James will die, and we will automatically be given his mask's collectible at the start of the next episode. And then finally, the leader trophy will pop at the end of this episode. Okay, last episode. We're going to be given our first collectible automatically because James died in the last episode. If you chose to let him live, then you'll get the collectible mask a bit later in the episode, also automatically in the cave. Eventually, you're going to regroup with everyone, look for an escape route, and you're eventually going to end up in a cave. Once you have the Make a Torch prompt, from the left of where you start, go pick up the crystal on the ground. And then on the right of where you start, past AJ, pick up the toy. Once you've gotten yourself across the river, you want to make a save. Now coming up is another one of those choices that we're going to have to replay. So play through the conversation however you like with AJ, and then eventually you're going to get given a choice. Now again, both of these have trophies associated with them, so we need to do them both. The first one we're going to do is You're Not Ready. Play out the rest of the conversation however you like, and at the end we will pop Red Water. And you can have a fairly long sequence of crossing a bridge and somebody may die. Eventually though, Clem and AJ are going to get to the bottom of the cliff. When you see Clem standing there with an axe, it's time to make a save. Complete the quick times to climb the cliff. Have a bunch of conversations, check out the bite, have a bunch more conversations, and then you will pop the You and Me trophy, which you got because we made the choice You're Not Ready earlier. So now we're going to reload that save, Red Water, that we made earlier. And we're going to be back in the cave, having just jumped over the river. We're going to have a bunch of conversations again, and then we're going to get that same choice. And this time we're going to pick the other one, You've Earned It. And then we're going to go through all the conversations, the bridge quick times, until we get back to that same cliff where Clem's holding the axe and you're going to make a save. complete the quick times again, go through all the same conversations, and this time you'll pop the goodbye trophy, which you got because we picked the other option. You've earned it. You're going to complete a bunch more QTEs, and eventually you're going to get to a barn. AJ's going to close all the doors and make the barn safe. And once you get to this door, you're going to make a save. After the save and you reload it in, you're going to have a bunch of conversations with Clem. Play them out however you like, it doesn't matter. And then you will eventually pop the final lesson trophy. Next is a scene where you're going to be infiltrating a compound. It's all very straightforward, so once you get to the bit where you're standing next to the car, you're going to make a save. There's no decisions to be made here, you're just going to complete quick times, have conversations, and in doing so you'll pop Promise. Next, you're going to be doing some fishing with AJ. Play it however you like. You can miss all the fish, it doesn't matter. Once you get back inside the cabin and you're supposed to put the spear away, you want to grab the skull behind the stove first, our fourth collectible. And you want to go put the spear back and then go outside. Now we're going to get Clem's hat. You can fail all the QTs, it doesn't matter. Rosie will give you the hat at the end automatically. Deal with 10 however you like. And you'll pop the Lost and Found trophy. You'll have a bunch more conversations and then eventually you'll end up in the hallway with all endgame credits. Make a save at this point. Once you get in your room, we're going to place our collectibles. For some reason, my trophy popped early before I placed them all, so I'm just going to go around and place them to show you where they go. When you're done placing, you're going to put Clem's hat on the table and you're going to answer, yes, I'm really done. Which will give you Savior and the Platinum. Okay, so we just got the Platinum on our first playthrough. And you now have a full collection of saves on that USB drive that you can now use on any of the other 3 versions of the game that you choose to go platinum. To use them, you're simply going to make a copy of the save you want to pop the trophy for. Then you're going to rename that copy PS4. You're going to load that onto your console. You're going to start the game and load. And then you'll just have to do the little bit of stuff that you need to do to pop that trophy. When it comes to buying the disc editions of the final season, eBay's a good choice, especially if you're in the US. Gamefly or other game rental sites that are available in your region work pretty well. Sometimes even libraries have discs to rent, and Amazon is also a pretty good option both for new and used copies. To buy a digital edition from a PSN store that is not in the region that your main account is in is going to require you create a separate alt account. See the pop-up link that's appeared on screen for a whole video on how to do that, and also I'll have that link in the description. And that's it, guys. That's how you can get the Platinum for The Walking Dead, the final season, upwards of 4 times, having played the game only once. I hope this helps, and I'll catch you in the next one.